Well, another weekend has come and gone, and with it, another Diablo IV beta, and in this beta, we got to play the Necromancer and Druid classes, and in this video, I kind of want to give my final verdict for this game, what I think we can expect for it, and why I think maybe this game should be delayed based on what I've seen so far. So first, let me just say, I've been having an absolute blast playing the beta. When I'm not playing the beta, I'm thinking about playing the beta. This is good news, in my opinion. Anytime you're thinking about playing a game when you're not playing a game, that's a good sign. Had a blast playing the Druid and Necromancer classes as well. Playing the Necromancer, making a corpse explosion build that absolutely busted the game was probably my highlight of the weekend, other than playing a Werewolf Druid, which I really love, which will probably be my main at launch. It kind of gave us a glimpse with the Necromancer into what sort of things we might be able to expect at endgame in terms of clear speed and things like that when you get a build that comes together that's really cracked. This is, I think, the thing that people really love about Path of Exile, is that you can make builds like this on the fly, and obviously builds people had in like Diablo II Resurrected, etc., where they could just fly through the content with some busted builds. I think people are looking forward to more of that in this game. There weren't really a lot of builds like that in the beta. There were some, but compared to what you might actually see, in like Diablo II, for instance, they were very few. No, obviously we were missing uniques and things like that that are supposed to be game changers because they don't drop until World Tier 3, which was not available in this beta. And even if it was, I'm not sure how many people would be able to do it, just because it felt like the game got harder the further your character progressed, not easier. So unless your itemization and farming is on point, you're going to struggle. So we'll see how those items change the game and how builds are affected by those. I can't wait to see that in the full version of the game. And I will tell you, I am going to be missing Diablo 4 after the beta period is over. Those things said, I definitely feel like this game is not ready for a launch in 2 months. And the reason I say that is because there were lots of connection issues during the beta period. There's going to be heavy traffic for this game, and unlike the beta, that the progress doesn't carry over to full game, people's progress is going to carry over day to day. So instead of like after day one of people having a headache they couldn't play, going, oh, I'll try again at launch and it's not worth the headache, and as the days went on in the beta, less and less people were playing because they knew their progress wasn't going to carry over. At the full launch of the game, that's not going to happen. People are going to keep logging into this game day after day or trying to get into the game. And if these login issues aren't resolved, if there isn't some better way for people to play this game, if they're constantly getting disconnected, this is going to be a disaster of a launch, a la Diablo 3 all over again. But in my opinion, it goes further beyond that. There are an absolutely staggering amount of bugs in this game. Just about everywhere I went in this game had bugs. Trying to leave the city, you couldn't get out of the city. The rubber banding when you go into different parts of the world, to bugs that cause people to fall through the map, to bugs that cause people to bug in dungeons, not be able to complete, from quest bugs that cause quests not to complete, to all kinds of things, chests you couldn't interact with. Playing cooperative on console, for instance, Vex and I were playing couch co-op. Anytime you attack with a basic attack, if you're player 2, the screen just shakes like weirdly and just tries to recenter the camera. Made it almost unplayable with any build that has any form of basic attack. I have played a lot of games recently that did not feel like they were finished or properly polished by the time they got released, and you started to see those games get review bombed on different platforms because players have frankly had enough of games that are getting published that are not ready to go, and I really worry that Diablo 4 is not going to be in a very good place in a couple of months. That's not to say that the majority of the game isn't ready to go, because it feels like 80 to 85% of this game is ready to go from the beta, but that 15-10% of it is huge, and I think players are to the point where they're no longer understanding of these sort of things. They're not tolerating it anymore, and if this game comes out and it's not in a very good playable state, or even it's in a playable state but there just are a lot of issues with bugs and things like that, people are not going to be forgiving, particularly with Blizzard. Blizzard doesn't have, some great PR that people can go, oh, it's Blizzard, no worry about it. They're going to jump all over the hate train on this, so if this game isn't absolutely ready to go at launch, it's going to be a disaster. Now, I've heard through the grapevine that this build is an older build of the game and it isn't conducive of the current state of the game. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I hope that makes some of this concern unfounded, and when we get the game, it's in a much better state. Because I can almost guarantee you that this game will not be delayed. The fact that they've already promoted the launch date heavily, and that the Ultimate Edition of the game gets early access by 4 days of this game, and they've given specific dates for that, makes me believe that there is no way in hell, pardon the pun, that this game is going to be delayed. But I really, really wonder if it should be. Now, the timing of Baldur's Gate 3 coming out at the end of August and Starfield coming out just after that makes delaying this game very difficult beyond that, because you don't want to push this game into that window, as it will affect sales, of those games and of this game. So I don't know when they would delay it to. If they did delay it, they couldn't delay it long. It would be maybe a month at most. or they'd have to try and put it somewhere after that window. So I don't see that happening with this game, but I am concerned that because of all the things I've seen, and this is not including like balancing changes and all that stuff, which honestly I'm not so worried about, because that sort of thing is just going to be whacked at launch anyway. Games don't launch with perfect balancing. Things have to be tested by thousands of players before balancing gets happened, and I think balancing will sort itself out over time. But again, there are still other issues with this game. For instance, the game lagged a lot. Like, there were constant FPS drops while playing this game. The towns had very poor performance when players were in them. There were lag spikes that happened for 10-15 seconds at a time, particularly during like the world boss events. And I just wonder like how that's going to get resolved if this game is lagging. Network issues aren't as easy to resolve, in my opinion, as, you know, game balancing or maybe a bug on a quest where you can just find the incorrect coding. Networking issues, you know, have to do with a lot of fundamental issues of the game, the way it's designed, how much throughput is going through, you know, the lines back and forth between internet connections, and I don't know how that's going to get improved in 2 months. I play a lot of MMOs, and frankly, MMOs that have server and connection issues and, you know, these sort of frame drops and things like that. I've been waiting for fixes for some of them for years that have never come. Admittedly, you know, some of them are just in PvP areas where there's hundreds of people, and I can understand where there's issues there. But this is like not nearly on that scale, and there's still performance issues in terms of network connections. So I really wonder how that's going to get resolved in this period of time, because even if this is an earlier build of the game and it's not reflective of what the actual game is, those sort of things, in my opinion, aren't as easy to fix, and I don't know how that's going to get fixed in that period of time. In my opinion, this is really the biggest drawback of having a persistently online game, is that, you know, if there's lag, if there's performance issues, if players are constantly getting booted from the game, even if they can log back in quickly, it disrupts the flow of the game. And if you have no offline mode that players can then play the game, they have no way to play. When people buy a game, they pay money for a game, even a premium money for a game in this case, they expect to play. That's just the reality. They expect to be able to play. And if that doesn't happen on launch day, it's going to be bad. So I really hope this stuff gets resolved. But honestly, from what I've seen so far, I feel like it's a tall order to do in such a short amount of time. Now, I hope this video doesn't just sound like I'm absolutely shitting all over the game, because that's just not the reality. I really like this game so far. I've been having a lot of fun with it, more fun than I expected to have with it. Regardless of whether it's a Diablo game or not a Diablo game, it's been fun. I've been playing the classes, I've played all of them. They're a lot of fun to play. I like the way legendary system works in the game. I can't wait to see more. When I'm not playing, I'm thinking about playing. It's a good sign. But I do have concerns about the performance of this game, whether it's going to be polished at launch, whether there's going to be bugs. And that's really my only concern for this game. It's not the way the game is designed, although maybe dungeons could be designed better so you don't have to backtrack so much. That's maybe my biggest bitch. But otherwise, it's really just a concern about the performance of the game. There's a lot of games out there, you know, that you can really like the game but not really like the performance of the game. And I'm really worried about Diablo 4's performance and how it's going to be at the launch of the game. So what do you guys think? All of you guys out there who played the beta this past weekend or the weekend before, what do you guys think? Am I crazy about the performance issues? Did you guys experience rubber banding, frequent disconnects, etc.? Did you experience bugs? Are you worried about bugs in this game? I felt like there were a lot of bugs, a lot more than I was expecting, on really basic things. Hopefully those can get cleaned up. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below.